So y'all lanes better migrate. Versatile cat, so I flow on the South Beat. Spit so hard I fuck around and hurt my teeth. My vision stays clear, why y'all looking cloudy? Yeah, I spit fire, but misses don't doubt me. Jumping hard on tracks, call me steroided rabbit. Consistently murdering beats like a serial killer's habit. Drop his flow, so I took the game and stabbed it. Copy my style, but it's too hot for you to grab. I got my shoes high, and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted, you know how I roll. I got my shoes high, and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted, you know how I roll.
While it is, as I take another pull from my Cohiba, overlooking green fields full of reefer. My suit say let it soul on my cufflinks, similar to Jay-Z and Puffy. I ain't saying that I wanna be like them. I'm getting fat stacks, why your paper so thin? Look within the eyes of a hustler. I need me a mansion so I can buy a butler. This is the classics and put me in the classified. I'm extra fire, so she stuck me like a pacifier. Old school Chevrolet, riding up the interstate. Bitches give me crazy love, niggas want a hard hit. Pussy niggas try me and you gon' get a scar face. Ain't no way I'm getting caught, that's gon' be a hard case. That baby girl, my 38, my trigger finger on the cake. Shoot you niggas in the face, you gon' see the pretty face.
My shoes high, and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted, you know how I roll.
This is how we roll.
I got my shoes high, and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted, you know how I roll.
This is how we roll.
Since a youngin', I knew I had the flow to succeed. Always kept my nose high, like trying to stop the bleed. Kept running, there was nothing in my way to impede. So ahead, it's safe to say there's no one after me. But I'm trying to rise up while you bathroom bitches sink. Hot like I'm in me, my aroma doesn't stink. Kept my eyes wide open while the blind bitches blink. Not one to have regrets, but my mind always thinks. I never gave a fuck at what them lames ever thought of me. Just kept doing what I do, cause that's just how it ought to be. Money on my mind, you can call it moneyology. You getting it out the ass, but I ain't talking side of me. Denver Bronco money, cause it just stays mile high. Whopper junior bitches, I don't beef with small fry. Little fingers on the side, cause you can't be this fly. Telling me keep my bread up.
So I do my money in the sky.
Sandstorm. Hey, mom. Classical, I see you. Hey. That's how we roll. Hey.
Hey, Wally.
What is up, my people? Welcome to another episode of Townie Sports. I am your co-host, Sammy, along with the greatest co-host in the world, Vic. Vic, how you doing, bro?
Oh, just living the dream. We had a fun weekend in Portland, Sammy. So still trying to recuperate from that, but feeling great. Happy to be back in the saddle and talk some sports.
Yeah, brother. I don't blame you, man. I was resting all day yesterday, just recovering, and then today I woke up, went to work, and I was like struggling for the first 3 hours. So yeah, we had a ton of fun though. It was great. Congrats to Sean, of course. You know, we celebrated his bachelor party, and it was an absolute blast.
Yes, sir. Absolutely was.
But all right, man, let's just dive right in. Week 3 in the books. We didn't talk much about week 2, but I mean, week 3 kind of continued on with a lot of some of the things that you and I talked about in week 1, and actually a few things changed, which we're going to actually get to today. But first and foremost, we're going to get to the Bucks in a second, but let's get to the New England Patriots game. They fall to the New Orleans Saints 28-13. Mac Jones, 30 for 51, 270 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks, 6 carries for 28 yards. Jameis Winston, 13 for 21, 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Alvin Kamara just was doing it all, 24 carries, 89 yards, 3 receptions for 29 yards and a touchdown. So I broke it down good and bad, and you can start off. You can do it however you'd like, Vic. But yeah, tell me what you saw from this game.
Well, another stat I wanted to add there for you, Sammy, is the Pats are actually 1-2 against the spread, and I don't know how in the world they were favored when this line opened. I believe they were -3 favorites. I think it's because they were at home, so they got the home kicker. But even I didn't consider this an even game, even before the game even started. Mac Jones had his struggles. 2 of the interceptions obviously were not on him. Had a couple bobbled passes. So don't want to take too much from what I saw from Mac Jones there. He did, like you said, complete 30 of 51. And in terms of time of possession, the Pats were right there with the Saints at 32. This game felt like a blowout, even though the score shows it as a blowout. It didn't feel completely like a blowout to me. From what I saw, there were chances there. It kind of ran up the score at the end, which is why that 28-13 score is so lopsided. If you look in terms of offensive yards, the Pats led in offensive yards per play. Penalty yards again killed us. We had 4 penalties for total of 30 yards and 3 turnovers to the Saints 0. The turnover bug has hit the Pats. This team continually turns the ball over, whether it be interceptions or bobbled passes or fumbles. We'll find a way to give the ball to the other team and give them the opportunity to score. And that's honestly the issue with the Pats this year. I think the defense has been fine. Third down efficiency in this game was down again, 37% to the Saints 46%. We got to find a way to stay at a 3rd and long and be able to convert short 3rd down yard situations. I kind of want to talk a little bit about Jameis Winston, but I want to get your thoughts on the game first.
Once again, I broke it down kind of into the good and the bad. Do you want to go into the Jameis Winston before I kind of break it down, or?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say, Jameis Winston, for all the crap that he gets. So I just noticed something that stuck out to me while I was looking over the stats earlier today. So Jameis Winston in 2019, his last full year with the Bucs, he went for when the pocket was kept clean, so not under pressure, 27 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. Not the greatest line there, but if you look at just after 3 weeks here so far, when that pocket is clean for him, 0 picks, 3 touchdowns. It looks like he's becoming smarter on his reads and starting to read the defenses, like everybody expected him to when he came out of college. Under pressure, that's when you see those 2 interceptions there. But still, 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the season total for Winston. Not a bad start. Nothing like what we saw from him in Tampa, where he was just chucking up balls, whether it be under pressure or not. He's making smart reads, smart passes, and I actually like Jameis Winston moving forward. And he was a guy last year when he was a free agent. I was hoping the Pats would take instead of Cam Newton. They chose, obviously, Cam Newton over Jameis Winston, which I still think is a mistake because if you look at it, I mean, the guy's still only 27 years old. There's still a few more years left. I think Jameis Winston is the perfect bridge quarterback, to keep the Saints afloat. And I think they're going to definitely be a contender in the South. Obviously not to win the South, but definitely finish second and probably make the wild card game.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. And kind of like I mentioned earlier, I broke it down into the good and the bad. And that's how I feel I have to kind of break down these Patriots games this season, more so than not, just because, we do have a rookie quarterback, a little bit of a bridge play with a lot of kind of what we're building here. And I think not a lot to take from the good. I mean, it wasn't a terrible game. And like you mentioned perfectly, the score wasn't an indicator of how the game was actually kind of close up until the end of the 4th quarter. But again, the good, Nick Folk continues to stay perfect on the year. Hits all his extra points, hits all the field goals. Something that, we hammer home special teams, in New England, and to have a guy that's just staying consistent, especially at the age that he is, and some of the struggles he had, I think, a few years ago. So that's always really nice. Other receivers, they proved me wrong this week. Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers in particular. Kendrick Bourne, 6 receptions, 96 yards and a touchdown. And then Jacoby Myers was 6 receptions for 94 yards. I thought both guys were finding the seams really well. I thought, I'm pretty sure we do a lot of our options with our wide receivers. So it seems like they knew pre-read where to go and find the seams and open gaps in coverage. Other than, the touchdown by Kendrick Bourne was a little bit of just an incredible play. It was more of a Mac Jones throwing it up, letting his receiver make a play. But that's part of the good, right? It's like Mac Jones took a shot. You know what I mean? He's like, you know what? Let me let my boy make a play. Let me not, just do this dink and dunk around. Let's see what Kendrick Bourne can do. And he stepped up huge. I think Jacoby Myers had 14 targets. And then Bourne, I think, had 8 or 9, but I think only 7 of them were catchable. So, both guys played really efficient. And then I thought the front 7. But when I further looked at it, I thought the defense as a whole had a pretty decent game. You can technically say 14 of those 28 points were on the offense, if you think about it. One of the picks was inside the got brought back inside the 10. Not a tough situation we put in, and then another one was a pick 6. But as far as how the defense did, Wise, Barmore, and Judon, I thought played incredible. 9 pressures among the 3 of them. I think we had 15 total pressures, including from linebackers. Matthew Judon, 2.5 sacks, especially in the second half. So I thought the defense, again, second half came out really, really strong. We had, I think, in the beginning of that third quarter, I think like 2 or 3 consecutive 3-and-outs, or at least we forced them to punt the ball. Obviously, our offense couldn't do much with it. Juwan Bentley, again, kind of a little bit of an unsung hero in the linebacking core, made 6 total tackles, and he didn't miss any. So really just covering those gaps pretty well. And then if you look at our DBs, I mean, J.C. Jackson was awesome again. Jonathan Jones was actually the worst of the DBs. And he was the worst and allowed 23 yards and the touchdown. So, I mean, if you're the worst DB and you're only allowing 23 yards and a TD, that's still pretty good in my eyes. So I thought the defense played pretty decent.
The defense isn't what worries me. It's still
no.
Can we get control of these numbers? And honestly, you know, it's
the 28. The thing is, the 28-point score makes it seem like the defense gave up a ton of points. But
no, and I get that. But another part, I mean, we paid all this money for Hunter Henry and Johnny Smith, Kendrick Bourne, and Nelson Aguilar, and our best receiver is Jacoby Myers. I mean, Bill Belichick continues to strike out with wide receivers, whether it be free agency or through the draft. You know, it feels like ever since he got Randy Moss, you know, that was the last of it. That was the last time he hit on a wide receiver in terms of free agency. So, you know, we have to figure out something with this offense. It has to get better. It's not on Mac Jones. And you know what? Even if it was, he's a rookie. He's going to go through his rookie growing pains. We didn't think he was going to come out and be gangbusters. Let's all remember Peyton Manning's first season in the league wasn't that great either. So I'm not saying he's Peyton Manning, but you know, I'm not ready to give up on Mac Jones yet.
Yeah, I didn't even think he was part of the bad. I thought he was just kind of in the middle. And in the bad, obviously, to your point, Jonnu Smith just had a he needs to just take this game and just never look at the tape, realize how bad he was, and just really move forward. Because I mean, he had 3 or 4 just easy catches. One of them particularly, he was wide open and could have ran it all the way for a touchdown, just drops it, went right through his hands.
Right.
And then obviously the one where he dove for, that was kind of a little bit far, but I mean, it wasn't that far to a point where he couldn't make the catch, and he tips it up, and that turned into the pick 6.
Right.
So that really stunk. I didn't think Hunter Henry was that bad. I mean, other than the fact that he wasn't getting a lot of the open seams, but he was making catches. I think he was 3 for 4. So he had 4 targets, 3 catches. So still want to see more. He leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
And then I thought, like I mentioned the last couple weeks, I know you poo-pooed me a little bit, but I mean, that offensive line to me is just that's an issue we got going on. I know we talked about in the car on our way to the airport how we wish we still had Scarnecchia.
Yeah.
I mean,
the offensive line stuff.
That blind side is just awful. The Saints forced 16 total pressures on the 50 dropbacks. That's almost half. That's like a quarter to a third of your dropbacks. And then Justin Herron allowed 8 of those 18 pressures. So again, that Trent Brown injury is just destroying us right now. But granted, that Saints front line is very good. So I mean, you should be getting at least 10, 12 pressures. But I mean, when Herron's allowing 8 of those 16 pressures, it's pretty dreadful.
I mean, there's not much more I can say about the Packers.
It's just something that still concerns me. I mean, just the lack of depth at the position and the inability to coach up some of these offensive linemen to be able to step up when injuries occur. That's just really.
That's really a league issue though, Sammy. If you look around the league, I mean, yes, granted, there's great offensive linemen out there, but you know, as a league, we're seeing a lot of quarterbacks taking, you know, a lot more sacks than we normally see. And I wonder how much of that is due to the lack of practice time. You know, because of because of changes and once, you know, concussions became a thing, they started doing less, you know, full out pads practices. I remember Bill Simmons saying something about that on his podcast. And that's why you see you know, possibly why it's so hard to coach up these linemen and why you're seeing these quarterbacks take all these hits. But you know, we could talk about the Pats literally all day.
Yeah. I mean, the last bad turnovers, untimely turnovers, especially where that kills momentum. I thought the pick 6 destroyed pretty much all momentum for that offense going forward. And that awful, dreadful pass that Mac Jones was throwing as he was getting tackled. Got to tuck that there. Got to realize, you know, I'm not going to make a play here, but and a block punt. That sucked. But yeah, that's pretty much what I had. Anything else? So 1-2 on the season, going into Tampa Bay next week. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, we're gonna lose.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the other game. Speaking of Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers drop a pretty close game. I didn't think it was that close, but when you look at the score, it looks a little closer. They lost 34-24 to the Los Angeles Rams. Tom Brady, 41 for 55, 432 yards and a touchdown. Matthew Stafford, 343 yards, 4 touchdowns. Deshaun Jackson, 3 receptions, 120 yards and a touchdown. And then Cooper Kupp, 9 receptions, 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. What did you think about that game, Vic?
Tampa Bay is missing their running game really badly. They only had 35 total rushing yards on the day on only 13 attempts. That averages out to about 2.7 yards per carry for Tampa. I mean, yeah, it's tough if they can't run the ball against good teams like that. It's not going to matter, obviously, against middle of the tier teams. But when they play a good team like the Rams, you start to see the lack of the rushing game hurt a little bit. Tom Brady, 41 or 55, 74%. I mean, the guy's still incredible at his age. We can talk about it every week, how he's beating Father Time, and how if we just gave him that 4-year contract when he wanted it, he probably would have retired a Patriot. But this game, like you said, it's getting close. It was closer than it looked, and this is these weeks this year have been great. I mean, the matchups every week, there's been at least 2 or 3 marquee matchups, and this was just another one of them. And can we talk about Matt Stafford for a little bit here, and the coming around of Matt Stafford? He also went 27 for 38 for 71% completion percentage, total 331.
Incredible.
0.7 per attempt, 12.3 yards per completion for Matt Stafford. No picks. Only took 1 sack in the game. So, yeah, the Rams are good. They're going to continue to be good. This could be an NFC championship matchup for me. Nothing much more I can say about this game other than both teams look good. Both teams played hard, my man. Both teams played hard. And actually, both teams are the Rams are 2-1 against the spread. So the Rams are one of my favorite teams this year. If you're looking at betting odds, they for some reason continue to get dogged, and I like the Rams.
Yeah, I think something that I've been mentioning, I've been hammering it since last year. The Buccaneers secondary is super, super suspect. Just continue to get just overmatched by any type of marquee wide receiver. They make so many mistakes. I mean, Deshaun Jackson, like, how are you letting Deshaun? I'm not going to get into that, but how do you let Deshaun Jackson get 120 yards against you? And when you watch that coverage play, the cornerback, it was a slight dig, and the cornerback fell on the ground. I'm just like, come on, dude! Like,
he's so fast. Deshaun Jackson, it's incredible how fast he is still at his age, and putting up, like you said, 120 yards and a touchdown.
No coverage over the top, no help over the top. It just. Yeah, it was just suspect. No run game at all. I wonder if part of that was game scripted, a little bit of, the Rams coming out and scoring right away, and also how great that defensive line is. I mean, that Rams defensive line is incredible.
It's good.
It's probably better than the Bucs.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
And that's the thing is, like, the Bucs, like we know them for that front seven, and that front seven didn't show up this game, in my opinion. Yeah, at all.
And that was something that I mentioned to you to keep an eye on. That I think they've lost a step. Not the linebackers. The linebackers are fine. They'll continue to be fine. They're still run gap stoppers. And they actually, and that's something I wanted to mention. There were only 6 pressures by that defensive line force for the entire game on the D line, and that made Todd Bowles go to the blitz, and then you saw them get more pressures with Devin White and Levante David. And it forced them to go to linebacker blitz a lot. And I think that's what left, Cooper Kupp open a lot more frequently. And, Robert Woods didn't have a great game, but I think there was another wide receiver that I can't name him. I forgot his name off the top of my head that had a pretty decent day. That was eating up in the middle of the field. It wasn't Woods, because I think Woods didn't have his prototypical game. But
you're talking about you're talking about Higbee or Jefferson?
Jefferson.
Yeah,
Jefferson.
6 targets for 4 catches on 6 targets. So he had a decent day as well. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Cooper Kupp might be one of the best wide receivers in the league. I'm talking top 3. what he's done this season so far has been incredible. I know he only had 96 yards, but if you're looking, he got targeted 12 times and hauled in 9 of those catches. So, that averages for, about 10.7 yards per reception, 2 touchdowns. The guy's just as sure-handed as they come. And then to have Robert Woods on the other side, I mean, this wide receiving core is up there with, the Seattles and the Minnesotas in the league for sure. Oh, and the Tampa Bays, for that matter.
Yeah.
And the Tampa Bay wide receivers didn't have a bad game either. I mean, you look at Mike
Evans had a great game.
Yeah, he had 100 yards. And then
Tyler Johnson stepped up. Sorry, the guy's name.
Chris Godwin there.
Chris Godwin stepped up.
I mean, these guys are good. Both teams will be there at the end of the year anyway. So I don't think there's too much to read in this. But just like you said, watch out for that Bucs defense, especially the secondary. And if that front seven is getting older and getting a step slower, that's going to be difficult moving forward. But
huge concern.
They
did a good job run stopping though, so I can't take all the credit away from them. So
yeah, and honestly, I still I'm not saying that the Bucs aren't going to finish. I still have them as my Super Bowl pick this year. So
yeah, like losing Jamel Dean, that doesn't help anything. I don't. Did you read anything about like what happened, if he's going to be back or not? I didn't. I missed looking that up. That made things worse. I don't know what their financial situation is. I didn't really look into the contracts, but they should be on the phone with Richard Sherman right now.
Yeah.
If I was the Bucs defense right
Richard Sherman.
Hey, it's better than what they have right now.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Hey, just keep getting big names. Maybe Aqib Talib will come out of retirement.
Yeah. But all right, man, let's get to this third game. I put this on there because of you. I'm going to stick with this because I'm super happy to do a podcast with you. I'm super happy that you did this. I'm super happy for your take. Everybody shitted on you for this take. And it's paying so many dividends against some pretty solid teams. By the way, real quick, before I get into this one,
sure, I
want to give a quick shout out to all the newcomers to the site. Welcome to House of Fandom. We're Townie Sports. We're a sister to, the House of Fandom shows. We do all your things sports. So we're happy to have you. Glad you guys could join us and, talk some sports with us. But anyway, Vic.
Yep.
The Bengals beat the Steelers 24-10. Joe Burrow, 14 of 18, 172 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Ben Roethlisberger, 38 for 58, 318 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. And then Jamar Chase, 4 receptions, 65 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Come on, baby. Cook on them Bengals, baby.
So the Bengals with me was never really about the offense. I thought the offense would get them there. I really like their defense, and I still do. There's only 4 teams in the league right now that have not given up a reception longer than 40 yards, and one of them is the Bengals. Another thing here, they're excellent against the run game. Excellent. They're a top 10 team against the run. They allow the third least amount of yards per carry in the league at the 5th amount, and that's 3.3 yards per carry on the average, and that's something to be said. I like this defense. I like Joe Burrow. I thought Burrow looked better this game. The first 2 games he looked a little shaky because I feel like once you get hurt like that, it's tough to come back from that and just like be who you were before in the pocket. Before that you kind of carefree, you never felt that kind of injury, and then after that you're scared and you realize it could be the end of the game. Now, there are a few outliers from this game, a couple caveats I do want to say. Big Ben is terrible. He's awful. I think that before the end of the year, I don't see Big Ben finishing the year with the Steelers. He just looks old and mobile, really. So the Steelers did have 77 offensive plays to the Bengals 42, and their time of possession, they led time of possession by about 11 minutes there. But all that matters is the score at the end. And the Bengals looked good, man. They did look good. I still think the Steelers are frauds, and that first week win was, not something to be talking about much. But I'll take it. I'll take the Bengals rolling on. I'll take Joe Burrow, completing 77% of his passes.
For all the haters out there, the Bengals are 2-1, leading the AFC North, and they have a 14-point differential right now. So they're plus 14. And the only other team that's better than them in point differential are the Browns with 26, and the Ravens are actually -3 in point differential right now. So yeah, the Bengals are serious. I'm so happy you made that call, bro.
And they're keeping the pocket clean too. That
Yeah.
that offensive line is one of the best in the league, I think. I don't think they allowed a sack yesterday. And that Steelers defense is not some just easy defense that you go over, especially that defensive line there. So I like Joe Burrow. I like this team, and I'm going to stick to my guns here. I still think maybe they need to get lucky with Baltimore, but I think they can end up winning the division.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I mean, Big Ben is the huge problem on that offense. I think the offense is just filled with so many talented offensive weapons that I wish Mac Jones had. He had a 2.28 second time to throw average, and combine that with Najee Harris getting 14 receptions. He's not making like any reads. Like he's going straight. He's going straight to like his outlet. Like, and he's not really looking. Seems like he's a little scared right now. Either something's up, he's a little hurt, something's wrong. I mean, he's probably just not good anymore as well. To your point, but yeah, he's really killing them. Joe Mixon had many opportunities to move move around. So to your point, that offensive line is pretty solid. They're talking about how all the gaps that he had to run. He had 90 yards rushing against the Steelers team that was actually pretty good against the run before this game.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, the Steelers' offensive line is not very good in run protection.
Right.
Apparently they're very good, but based on what I read on Pro Football Focus, their offensive line is very good in pass protection, or pretty decent in pass protection. But Najee Harris is not getting any room to do anything when he gets the ball. So I don't know if that's possibly a game script thing, because that could be it as well. Let Ben beat us. Let Ben try and beat us. But yeah, that offensive line does not look very good. And to your point, I will say this, Vic, because I like to go back on, or I like to admit when I'm wrong. The Steelers defense is possibly overrated, and you were 100% right. They did not register. They didn't register a sack or a hit on Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and on the other side of the ball, you look at Big Ben taking 4 sacks in that game. And then not only that, but if you look at his yards per attempt, 5.1 yards per attempt for Big Ben. With these receivers, these are big play guys, and they're guys that I understand sometimes you can just give it to them and let them do their thing. But still, 5.1 yards per attempt. You would think that he would be taking a few more deep shots per game. I just don't think he has it. I don't think it's necessarily his throwing. It's just he's so immobile back there. If he gets back there and literally you can be fine just rushing 4. If it's in a passing down, you don't have to worry about Ben escaping the pocket. You can literally just have everybody sit back in coverage. So,
yeah, good call on the Bengals, and they're still rolling, man. I'm gonna be watching them every week now. But another team, actually, both you and I really, really love, the San Diego Chargers. Just kidding. The Los Angeles Chargers defeat the Kansas City Chiefs 30-24. Justin Herbert, 26 for 38, 281 yards and 4 touchdowns. Pat Mahomes, 27 for 44, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. And then Mike Williams, have a day, brother. 7 receptions, 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. How about them damn Chargers, man?
I wish that was Keenan Allen that had that.
Yeah, I know.
Jesus, how many times have you accidentally started Mike Williams and been like, oh yeah, I'm happy with that?
Never.
Jeez. But no, Steelers, the Chargers are a fun team to watch, aren't they? With Herbert, everybody loves Justin. I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody that's like, nah, Justin Herbert sucks, or is like, nah, I hate watching that Herbert kid. They pulled off. They certainly pulled one out of the bag here, beating the Chiefs. I believe at home, right? The Chiefs were at home.
Yeah.
Fun fact: the Chiefs are 0-3 against the spread, guys.
Yeah, I saw
So
that. Julian Edelman posted that the other day.
Yeah, man, that's not. I wouldn't say worrisome. I think they're kind of in cruise control right now. They're the Chiefs. They think they'll be able to turn it on when they need to. But a lot of these games have been close. Coming, especially that Browns game to begin with. Obviously the Ravens game, which they ended up losing. But are you worried about the Chiefs?
I am a little bit.
Yeah.
I am a little bit. I don't know if it's a thing where teams are starting to learn how to play against them, because you're seeing what the Browns formula was in the playoff game, and then obviously in their game against the Chiefs. You're seeing how they use that formula, and you're seeing other teams probably catch on and realize how to beat them, or how to put yourself in a position against the Chiefs to beat them. And I don't know if this in particular is a good tell, because I think the Chargers on paper are actually a pretty solid matchup against the Chiefs, and they were last year as well, because I think they beat them. I don't know if they beat them twice, but I know they beat them in the final one of the final weeks of the season. But I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, I think the Chargers beat the Chiefs last year twice. So
Let me ask you this, Sammy. At the end of the year next year, or at the end of the year this year, is Patrick Mahomes still the consensus #1 quarterback in the league? Because I feel like that was the consensus at the end of last year. There's nobody, he's the best in the league, hands down. For you, is he still the #1 quarterback in the league at the end of the season?
I still got to stick with my guns and say yes. Yeah.
I kind of like. I'm not gonna lie. I'm liking what Kyler Murray's doing there in Arizona. But
I like what Justin Herbert's doing.
Herbert too. Yeah, Herbert too. Obviously this was probably his worst game of the season. He had a quarterback rating of 81.6. Only completed 61% of his passes. But I don't remember. Even though he has had good stats, I mean, he also again has great receivers. It must be nice to have Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. But what's up with their run game? Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Everybody's trying to peg him as having a comeback year, but I really haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
No,
I don't know if it's a game script thing, because if you look at an offensive line situation, very rarely do you have an offensive line that can be super, super successful at both, especially when you're reliant so heavy on the pass, right? And not just the pass, but the deep pass. So.
And he had his best game of the year here. So I mean, we're kind of probably talking about this at the wrong time, but. Right. But I wanted to mention something last week. Is he that guy? Because I remember when he came out and they drafted him, he was supposed to be that guy. The guy that was supposed to replace Kareem Hunt and be the next those great running backs.
Kyle in the chat made a good point. They could be a cocky thing. He mentions, he thinks they can win every game with 4 minutes left, and that's actually a pretty decent point. Just try and sling it around with them, and then just try and win on the last possession. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes it's not always going to work. I mean, especially against a team that I had mentioned earlier. I think you agreed with me as well. The Chargers defense that, if healthy, is actually really, really is pretty good, that can keep up and keep their offense in games.
Yeah, I mean, they got Joey Bosa there too. And Asante Samuel Jr., who looks pretty good, huh?
Amazing, huh?
How old are we now that we're watching Asante Samuel Jr. play?
I hate it.
But no, another point here too is how many times have we seen teams play down to their competition, right? So not good teams. I remember a famous example of that was, look at the United States men. It was a completely different sport, but the United States men's national team always playing down to their competition, which, ultimately either ends in losses or too close to call games. I think Kyle's on to something there. I think this is a team that thinks that they can win it in the final 4 minutes of the game and slinging around with anybody. And it's going to come back to bite them in the playoffs. I'll tell you that much for sure.
Yeah, their defense looks a little sketchy, if you ask me.
Yep.
But yeah, like you mentioned, the Chargers secondary was incredible. They accounted for all 4 of those turnovers. I think it was 2 picks and then 2 fumble recoveries. So, yeah, really, really good secondary, and they're super, super young. So that scares everybody, because that's a young team that has a young, solid quarterback and a young core of solid defensive studs. So yeah, the Chargers are.
Well, what scares me for the Chargers is the kicking game. I mean, they had a kicker that missed 2 extra points.
I know, man.
That's gonna matter eventually, So and they continue to have these woes. When are they going to find it? Who is their last good kicker? Nick Novak?
Probably.
Yeah. So unless they find somebody there, they need to do something there quick, because I don't know if that Vizcaino guy is it.
Yeah. But all right, perfect segue into our next game, which was a game that actually worked out perfect for you and kind of some of the conversations that you wanted to bring up last week, which we never got to. But the 2 teams that we were going to kind of cover and talk about as a little bit overrated, or at least that you wanted to mention, were the Bills and the Washington football team. I almost said, the forbidden word.
I can't, Sammy.
I can't say it. I don't want to get canceled before we get started,
Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills came out victorious 43-21.
Yep.
Josh Allen, 32 for 43, 358 yards, 4 touchdowns. Emmanuel Sanders sighting, 5 receptions, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Heineke, 14 for 24, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Now, Vic, I know the Buffalo Bills came out and played an excellent game. You and I had this conversation in the car again, another one of those conversations we had, where I was really pegging the Redskins defense is pretty solid. You had mentioned that the Redskins defense was potentially overrated. You also mentioned the fact that Josh Allen is potentially overrated. And now the first 2 weeks were a great description of Josh Allen being slightly overrated. And the first 2 weeks were a good description of the Washington football team overachieving. But now it kind of reversed a little bit on you and kind of hurt you. But it actually, in some ways, it possibly could have helped you. But yeah, get into what you think about the Buffalo Bills and the Washington football team.
Well, first of all, I want to apologize to Jace, who both of us told to bench Emmanuel Sanders and start Robbie Anderson on Thursday night. So
I did say I like Emmanuel Sanders a lot.
Yeah, no, yeah. Sorry about that, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like you said, Emmanuel Sanders finally showed up to play. But Josh Allen did what he needed to do against a bad defense. I think this team is severely overrated. If anything is good on the Washington defensive side, it's definitely just their defensive line, and that's it. Their corners can't cover for shit. If you look at Josh Mahomes this year, he has had a solid, decent year with only throwing one interception.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, Josh Allen. Sorry. He's thrown 7 touchdowns. Most of them came in this game, but he's still only completing 62% of his passes. And again, this game did a lot to boost those stats. If you look at just this game, he, like you said, he went 32 of 43. So what's that average out to there? Well, regardless, whatever it averages out to, it's a lot better than what he'd been doing recently in this previous 2 games. And I think this is the first game. Is this the first game this season he's gone over 300 yards?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, so he went for 359, 75% completion percentage, and that's a little skewed. That's for the team, a little skewed by Mitchell Trubisky's cameo there. But the Bills, I always thought were a solid team, but I just thought they were overrated. I thought that they were probably going to win the East, as much as my Pats fan wanted to say that they weren't. They're a good team. I still think Josh Allen's overrated. I don't think he's the best quarterback in the league. I don't think he's going to be the MVP this year. I don't think he's a top 3 quarterback in the league. I think he's good. I don't think he's a guy. You know what I mean? I don't think he's a Mahomes. I don't think he's a Kyler Murray. I don't think he's a Justin Herbert. But if he proves me wrong, I look like a fool. But this game, he certainly did that. 6.2 yards per play for the Bills. It didn't look like Washington could stop anything. I mean, they went 60% on third down conversions here in the red zone, 67%, and they had 6 trips to the red zone, by the way. So I think this is what a good team and a good offense does to a bad defense. Nothing much more to read in there.
Yeah, I thought Buffalo also ran efficiently, 86 yards on 24 carries combined for Moss and Singletary. Buffalo's secondary, I think, is actually really, really slightly underrated, more so. It was against Heineke, but they've played really well pretty much in the last 3 games. I think they saved him in the last 2 games, to your point, saved Josh Allen. They only allowed the secondary only allowed 64 out of the 212 yards. So Heineke was kind of picking on maybe some of the blitzes and the linebacking schemes, things like that. And yeah, Washington generated only 26 pressures, but didn't hit. But in the linebackers and secondary was just destroyed by Allen. And during those pressures, a lot of it was blitz coverage. So Josh Allen just found the open seams. And I think that's why you saw Emmanuel Sanders have a pretty decent game here.
And another team, too, the Washington football team that is 0-3 against the spread. So interesting stat there. I think this team is bad. I don't think they're good.
Yeah, I think that front line is still really good. I think that's pretty much all there is to that defense now. I think, they were exposed pretty heavily in that secondary this game, and I think you're going to see that trend continue. But yeah, Buffalo's secondary really impressed me in this game.
Who do you think wins that crappy division in the East? It has to be the Cowboys, right? I mean, they're the only team that's...
Yeah, if he's healthy, I think it's Cowboys. If he's not healthy, I think the Eagles can do it.
Is there any idea on when Fitz is coming back? Is he coming back?
I don't know. I think it's at least 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, so they're in trouble. They're in trouble because their quarterback play has been horrendous. But they're bad.
Yeah. All right. And then the final game we'll get to of the night was a freaking crazy game last night. Oh, before I get to it, just want to mention, I have to mention it, right?
Mm-hmm.
the 66-yard field goal for the Buffalo Ravens to win it.
Buffalo Ravens? Baltimore Ravens.
The Baltimore Ravens. Sorry,
Yes,
just
yeah.
reading the Buffalo Bills stuff. Yeah, the Baltimore Ravens.
No, I that was insane, right? Literally, like I watched on my phone and I was like, what the hell happened? I don't even know like what's going on because you couldn't see the ball hit the crossbar and bounce in. Jesus, poor Lions fans. Are they not? They have taken the crown as the most tortured franchise in history. Those guys can't get a break.
I know. And and I thought it was just crazy. So not only was that a 66-yarder and just absolutely incredible, that freaking ball hit like dead center of that post. Like he was just on it, Lou. Like he might be one of the best kickers we've ever seen in our lives. Like I'm not even joking.
Well, and that was the second record attempted field goal of that day. I believe in the Cardinals-Jaguars game, I believe the Cardinals kicker attempted a 68-yarder. Ended up coming short, and Jacksonville returned it for a touchdown.
Yeah, so, 109 yards.
Yeah. So kind of what an interesting week so far, huh?
Pretty crazy. All right, the last game we'll get to, Sunday night game. Yeah. Crazy game in the last game. Everybody thought this was going to be a blowout and ended up not becoming a blowout. It ended up being a really, really close game. But the Packers came back and win, or the Packers came back in the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or actually the last 40 seconds and beat the Niners 30-28. Aaron Rodgers, 32 for 33, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jimmy Garoppolo, 25 of 40, 257 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And then Davante Adams, man, just continues to just be incredible. 12 receptions, 132 yards, and a touchdown. So what did you think about the game? Did you watch that game? I mean, I was watching the Sox game, so I was kind of flipping back and forth.
I was on my way. I was driving on my way home from Orlando, so I didn't get to watch a lot of the game, and I was listening to the Red Sox game on the radio. So I didn't get to watch too much of it. I caught the end of it. I was hoping San Francisco would pull it out just because I love watching Aaron Rodgers lose. But it was certainly a close game. It looked like the Packers were going to pull away there for a little bit, and they ended up pulling this one out at the end. But the Niners made a valiant effort and come back. I remember I was listening to Bill Simmons this morning talk about it, and he mentioned how he was wondering if it's Trey Lance time in San Francisco, and I don't think so, man. I think Jimmy G is just doing just fine. Let Jimmy G finish out the season, and then bring in Trey Lance fresh next year. Let him continue to do his gadget plays, and I like these Sunday night football games continue to be fire. All these night games, actually, to be honest with you, continue to be fire, except for that last Thursday night game. But I mean, what can you say about Aaron Rodgers and what he did there? I mean, when that final drive, I don't know, did you have a chance to watch the final drive?
Yeah.
So, literally seconds, no timeouts, and the guy drives down the field. Him and Brady, man, you give those guys time and you just feel like it's game over. Poor Niners, because they should have won that game, really. They just left too much time on the clock.
They did. I mean, 40 seconds though.
No,
I know. I get it. But it's like if they left maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Yeah, it's a lot of time. But they thought they could keep it, But I mean, yeah, Niners overcame a 17-point deficit to take the lead with 43 seconds left in the game. They had that scoring play to Juszczyk, fullback, just freaking bulldozed 2 guys going in the end zone to put them up 28-27. And yeah, man, just Aaron Rodgers. Clutch and efficient all at the same time. He was 8 for 15 on passes, 10+ yards downfield. Mm-hmm. And then just him and Davante. I don't get it. Like, it was literally him and Davante Adams that whole final drive. And I'm like, if you're the Niners, like, what the hell are you, like, just mark the only guy that he's going to try and throw to in those positions. But I get it. Davante Adams is probably one of the best route runners in the entire league. So. But yeah, Green Bay still struggles to find a pass rush for all the coverage. The coverage team, I think, plays pretty steady enough. And I think what you saw here from this game, Rodgers was going to release the ball extremely early to limit the effectiveness of the Niners pass rush, and he did. His average time to throw in this game was 2.05 seconds. So he knew what he was getting to with the Niners. I thought it was extremely masterful. Again, like you mentioned, you got Rodgers and you got Brady. Those guys know exactly the defenses they're playing, and they play exactly how they should against these defenses. And you saw that with Aaron Rodgers last night. So
absolutely, and it's kind of a bummer. I just wish that these games were on. Like, I hope it's like this for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Really, it really is. It's incredible.
We're getting games served on a platter to us. It's pretty incredible.
Absolutely.
As soon as I want to turn away, like I see that, like I'll get like a little scoring alert, and I'm like, God damn, man, and I just jump right back into it. But all right, moving on. Before we get into a preview of Monday Night Football, real quick, we got to get into this, right? We got to talk about it. The MLB playoff race. The Red Sox get friggin' swept by the Yankees. Ended the game last night. I believe it was 6-3 was the final score. So yeah, the Yankees take a 1-game lead to lead the wild card over the Red Sox. We got the Mariners catching up as well. But yeah, Vic, what are your thoughts right now going into the final week of the season for the Red Sox, Yankees, for that AL East playoff race?
The AL East is obviously the best division in baseball. I mean, maybe the NLS is close, but 3 teams here vying for those last 2 playoff spots. I still think the Red Sox win it. Thank God we have the Nationals and the Orioles to finish off. Otherwise, I would be worried. But what really concerns me most is our bullpen here. So I want to pull up our bullpen stats for the last 7 days here, and if you look at it, the bullpen is our bullpen is 2-3 with a 5.40 ERA, giving in 5 games here, right? And if you look at the teams underneath us in the last 7 days, you have the Rockies, the Padres, the Astros, the Marlins, the Pirates, the Mets, and the Cubs. Those are the only worst bullpens in the last 7 days here. I'm really concerned if we make the postseason, but I think we will. I think we'll be all right. But especially if it comes down to that 1-game playoff, I'm concerned about our bullpen. And I hope Chris Sale can go 8 innings and then figure out how to pitch another 12 after that. Can we just give it to another starter? Can we bring in Nate Eovaldi or something like that to finish off the game? Because this bullpen has been horrendous all year, number one. And now they'll have stretches where they kind of do it, but I know you had a good stat about Ottavino. I wanted you to share it. So go ahead and let everybody know about that Ottavino stat.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just really referring to last night's game because that was I think that was the only game where we had the opportunity to win. Actually, no, I think Saturday night when we were absolutely hammered, we came back and then ended up losing anyway. Oh, no, we brought it closer and then ended up losing. But last night in particular, I was really, really surprised and I don't know who was available. I was trying to find out who was available. Maybe as I'm talking, you can maybe find out who was available. I don't know how to look that up. But as far as who we brought in that 7th inning, I was just very, very confused. Now, I know Garrett Richards came in and gave up the 2 runs. I was fine with Garrett Richards coming in because if you look at the stat of him going into that game, he had a 1.54 ERA in the month of September. So I was fine with that. Okay, bad outing. Yankees really dug deep for that.
Right.
But then you look at the next person they bring out, Adam Ottavino. Obviously, Hansel Robles has been nails the last month. But they bring in Adam Ottavino. Now, before the series started, now, after it, it's way worse. But before the series started with the Yankees, Adam Ottavino's ERA was 5.87. Now, mind you, not only usually when I look at that, I'm like, okay, let's see what else we got here. His FIP and xFIP are between 6.68 and 3.67, meaning that's pretty accurate, meaning his ERA is about what he is. And so to put him in a situation like that, well, we're up 3-2 and we're in a close game, 4-3, potential to move on because I think in the last inning, we got runners in scoring position, got a little unlucky, whatever. But it just blows my mind why he was put into that type of situation in a game that I know I get it. We have, and in my opinion, I think the Red Sox kind of looked at it okay, last 6 games, we got pretty easy wins. This is going to be tight. I just don't know why you put him in there.
And also, Sammy, why not challenge the strikeout? Why not challenge the strikeout?
You can't.
And you can't challenge that?
No.
Oh my God! What a terrible call! Just another example of the umpires ruining the game. And then not only that, but before that, A-Rod wants us to blame Verdugo. I want to blame Dahlbeck.
Yeah, you got to catch that. You got to catch that.
You have to catch that pop up. It's a whole other game if he catches that ball, that pop up.
I mean, I think you can also point to why was Why was Schwarber on his little sack fly trying to stretch for 2? That was stupid.
I thought no, it was 2 outs. It was 2 outs when it happened.
I know.
So he was just running lackadaisically. And I think he was just kind of, going through motion, which is, it is what it is. But I have an interesting thing for you in terms of our hitting, okay? So the Red Sox are in those last 7 days that I mentioned here, are 7th in the league in batting average with 278, but are 23rd in the 20th in the league in RBIs, which means we're hitting the ball when guys aren't on base. And our slugging percentage is right about I believe at the top here. Let me pull it up here.
We have a crazy left on base stat. I forgot what it was, but I heard it the other day. It's ridiculous how many guys we leave on base.
I mean, our slugging percentage is 4th in the last 7 days. I mean, you look at the hitting stats. We're hitting the ball, and you mentioned it in the group chat yesterday. All we hit is singles. All we hit is singles lately, and without runners on too. For that matter. So, I'm not so much worried about the hitting, but the pitching is what really bothers me, and it bothers me that we're not hitting when guys are on base. These clutch scenarios when we have, there's no Big Papi, there's to bail us out anymore. So we got to start figuring a way to generate runs.
Yeah, and to your point, 3.72 team ERA going into the Yankee series, and our, I know you poo-poo on him, but Erod has freaking owned the Yankees. He went 5 innings, 2 earned runs. Nick Pivetta went 5.1, 1 earned run. I mean, Eovaldi was really the only bad outing of the entire weekend. I chalked that up. You're going against Garrett Cole as well. I was already chalking that up as a loss, honestly. But I mean, and then you get our bullpen comes in and gives up 4 earned runs in the first game or the second game. Then in that third game, Houck and Hernandez give up 2 earned runs. And then obviously yesterday, 2 earned runs apiece. Then yesterday, another one. Where Ottavino and Richards give up 4 earned runs, and it's so frustrating that these starters, they go 5-6 innings, but then the bullpen comes out and just completely obliterates it, and it sucks. It sucks.
It does because like you said, the starters are doing well, decently. I mean, in the last 15 games, we're 13th with a 3.82 ERA,
which is fine with the staff, right? Think about it. That's fine with this staff. I mean,
right? Absolutely. I mean, we're throwing Tanner Houck out there for God's sakes. I know you guys love him, but not the biggest fan. But Sale has been excellent since he came back, so happy to see him doing well.
The Hansel Robles trade has been great. I mean, he's been awesome in the last month.
Yeah,
he's been awesome.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Luckily, and to your point, luckily we close out the last 6 games against the Orioles and Nationals. Yankees got to close with the Blue Jays and the Rays, so that's going to be tough. And then the Blue Jays close with 3 games in the Yankees, and then they have 3 games against the Orioles. So, I mean, it's going to get close down to the end. We control our destiny pretty much. Wouldn't be surprised if we go 4-2 in the last 6, but hopefully we sweep them.
That would be great. I mean, I would love to have that game at home and not at Yankee Stadium. And
you would have loved to go into these last 6 games 1-up. That's all I want. I didn't even want to win the series against the Yankees. I wanted to win 1. If we won 1, we will own that. But now it's like, okay, now we have to hope that the Yankees lose at least 1 and then we sweep. You know what I mean? Just puts us in a shitty situation. So
well, and it's good that the Yankees are playing Toronto, like you said, because they're going to knock each other off. And then who did you say the Yankees play in the final series?
Rays.
Okay, perfect, great. Yeah. I think we're definitely going to make it. I'm not worried about making it now.
Yeah, I'm actually, and then to kind of conclude, I feel like since August we've been playing with house money. It's been cake money for the Red Sox this season. I mean, everybody thought they weren't going to be good. I know I hammer the Red Sox are good. The only reason I hammer that is because everybody pegged this team to barely win 82 games, and look at them now. They're in a playoff race. They're about to win 90 games, probably 92 games, and so.
And we're saying the sky is falling, but realistically, the Sox are 7-3 in the last 10. I mean, we'll be all right.
Yeah, and the bullpen just really sucks. So
yeah,
just frustrating. But all right, let's get into it right before Monday Night Football. The Eagles at the Cowboys. Again, this is going to be such a good game, dude. Like, I think this is going to be such a good game. The spread is the Cowboys -3.5, over under 51.5. And then here we go, the money line. The Eagles are +150, and the Cowboys are -175.
It's going down, A-Rod. Sorry, A-Rod just mentioned something in the comments. It's going down. He's never going to lose the series to the Orioles. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, all right.
We're 12-4 against them, so yeah.
Yeah. Eagles Cowboys going to be great. Good young players on both sides of the field. Well, on the Eagles side of the field, I guess. I still think of Zeke and Dak as young players, but they're seasoned vets now. This is for control of the AL East. This is control of the NFC East here. Whoever comes out of this is going to be who people are going to talk about for the next week as the favorite, and then it's going to change again next week. But I like what the Eagles have done this season. I like Jalen Hurts. I like Devontae Adams, Smith, and I like Miles Sanders. I like the running game.
Miles Sanders to do big things tonight, baby.
Yes, we do. We need him to get like 40 points. I did not know Keanu Neal is out, but that should be fine. The Cowboys defense, I think, is underrated as well. I like their linebacking core there. They got a lot of multiple pieces that they can switch out. But if I'm a betting man, in terms of value here, I would probably go money line Eagles.
All right.
Yeah, just for the value itself, you're getting what does it say here? You got plus 150. Yeah, I would do that. Even with the Cowboys at home. Let's see what happens. Who do you like in this game? I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't trust the Eagles defense yet. They've left a lot to be desired as far as like who they've played against in the last few games. I think this is going to be a big test for me. This is going to be my convincing game. You know what I mean? And I don't even care if they lose this game. Like if I see a little more, like you're mentioning with the linebackers, so I'm going to watch the linebackers a little bit more in this game, and kind of see what you were talking about with that. And I think when you look at Dallas, Dallas has had a tough go. Like they had to play Tom Brady, and then they had to play Justin Herbert against the Chargers, and a game where that defense held Herbert to only one touchdown. You know what I mean? So, I think Dallas defense is slightly underrated, and people just keep looking at Dak and CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, and I think that defense is actually pretty solid if healthy. If they stay healthy, remember that they're like a hit away from the entire defense just imploding and everybody going on the IR. But in this game, I like the Cowboys to win. But as far as like with these spreads and stuff, I'm not taking the Cowboys or the spread. I would take the under though. The over-under is 51.5. I think it's going to be 27-20 Cowboys. So, I mean, they are doing the spread. Like, I'm predicting a spread. But I think this is a little bit of a trap game. I think the Eagles are going to give a little bit of a fight here. I like you mentioned, I like Jalen Hurts. I like Devontae Smith. This is obviously a game that's, everybody's going to be watching because it's going to be whoever takes over this division. So, I think both of them are going to go for blood.
Yeah, and, the Cowboys are currently 2-0 against the spread. So, might be smart, but for my money, I'm definitely going to take the Eagles just because I like rooting for the Eagles, not so much the Cowboys. Take that, Sergio. But my money's going on the Eagles here.
Yeah. All right, Vic. Anything else you want to touch on? Anything else you want to mention before we sign off and let everybody go watch football?
No, I was trying to look up a stat here to see because I feel like there's been more unders this season than overs, right? I feel like the unders hit more this season than overs.
Yeah.
But I wish I could pull that up, but unfortunately, my computer's decided to seize up on me. So I'll leave that to next week. But no, nothing for me, Sammy.
All right. With all of that, thank you again, everybody, for tuning in to Townie Sports. We love you. We thank each and every one of you for tuning in each week. Thank you choosing us for your listening pleasure on all things sports as we kind of break down and give you, some of these individual games and individual stats and interesting things we like to look at. We're going to be getting into basketball very, very soon. We are live every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern time here on the House of Fandom channel. As always, please like the channel, like the video, subscribe. I mean, I see a lot of you like in here. I see you kind of conversing with us. I didn't see you subscribe yet. I didn't see you hit the like button. There's only one like. I liked it. You should like it because I know you're listening. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, thank you everybody for tuning in. Like and subscribe to House of Fandom. We want to say thank you to the new subscriber to the House of Fandom. Over 100 new subscribers in the last 4 weeks. Thank you so much. As you can see, we are home to sports fandom, pop culture, movies, and so much more. Do not forget to check out our so much more. Crypto. We'll talk about investing in stocks. We'll talk about so much other stuff with you guys, man. But yeah, don't forget to check out our Instagram page at Townie_sports for all updates on the shows, additional sports coverage, and of course, the amazing hot takes of Vic, especially the one of the Bengals that's going to get us to 1 million subscribers.
I think so.
But yeah, we have amazing hot takes and myself. Lastly, House of Fandom Show returns with a new episode this Thursday at 8 p.m. with new reviews of Marvel's What If. You guys aren't going to want to miss it, even though I haven't really kept up with What If, and I'm really kicking myself for it because I hated the first episode, but everybody says all the other episodes are really good. So
First episode's the worst.
yeah, it was pretty bad.
It was whack.
But yeah, be sure to tune in. They're going to break all the fandom news in movies and pop culture. With that being said, everybody, enjoy Monday Night Football. I'm your host alongside Vic. We are Townie Sports.
Hey, Wally and Sandstorm.
How we roll. Hey.
Yeah.
I got my shoes high and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted. You know how I roll.
This is how we roll.
I got my shoes high and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted. You know how I roll.
This is how we roll. Yeah.
Homicidal clothes cause I'm dressed to kill. Leave 6 bitches oohing cause I'm worth a mil. Flow is ill, spitting no vomit spill. Killing them softly, but I ain't Lauryn Hill. I'm a Beantown boy with a Trigger City mind state. Leaving hoes surprised like they going on a blind date. Had that ass spinning, best believe that booty gyrate. Come fresh to the game, so y'all lanes better migrate. Versatile cat, so I flow on the South Beat. Spit so hard I fuck around and hurt my teeth. My vision stays clear, why y'all looking cloudy? Yeah, I spit fire, but misses don't doubt me. Jumping hard on tracks, call me steroided rabbit. Consistently murder beats like a serial killer's habit. Drop his flows, so I took the game and stabbed it. Copy my style, but it's too hot for you to grab. I got my shoes high and my jeans low. I got my socks fitted. You know how I roll.